I want to give a big shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Hello fam, and welcome back to another tea time. I'm really excited that you guys have been really enjoying these sessions. I feel like it's been a really great thing for me as well to just sit here and chat and kind of release thought, have a moment alone in my space and just connect with myself and you and share what's been going on. And it's a way for us to just be a bit more open with life, I guess. You know, everything gets a little crazy sometimes when we're on the go and thinking about what we're filming, so it's been really awesome to take a moment and just sit, breathe and chat it up. It's definitely a vibe. I've got my incense burning. I brew in my little teapot, which I have missed so much. If you guys didn't know, actually, this teapot I've had since I was like maybe 24, I think. Justin got it for me for my birthday way back in the day. Before I was like a proper avid tea drinker, I used to drink a lot of tea. I guess that's what made him want to get me a teapot. It's kind of encouraged me to drink more tea as I've aged, and I really enjoy it. Vince is off to the coffee shop to get some work done. Justin is occupying Azalea, and I'm sitting here to have tea with you guys. I brewed up one of my bulk teas that I had gotten that was pre-blended from Mountain Rose Herbs, and it's a really nice like minty, rosehip, a bit of citrus flavor in there. I'm waiting for it to brew up a little bit longer, and then I will pour myself a cup and enjoy my tea with you. So if you guys haven't got tea or coffee yet, go ahead and make yourself a cup and let's sit down and have a chat. Okay, update. Wow, we have been doing a lot of driving lately. Since you last saw us, we were in New Mexico. We crossed through Texas and we are now in Louisiana. Our time in New Mexico was short but sweet. We stopped by the Carlsbad Caverns and it was friggin' epic. I made like a long reel, so you can go and watch that on our Instagram if you want to see a bit more about the cave, but it was mind-blowingly beautiful. And if you've never been in a cave, or if you have and not been in a massive one, this one was huge. It was like 2.5 miles deep or something and was incredible. Our crossing through Texas has been a bit lackluster. Can't really speak too highly of it, but we also haven't really explored too much of it. We passed through a lot of like oil refinery lands, so we've been through like factory space, and there's just a lot of kind of like gnarly, I guess, reality checks of what's happening in life all around us so that we can live our day-to-day, like drive our cars and power up our diesel generators or whatever it is that we do. It strikes a nerve and just makes you really think about life and where you're at, and encourages you to be more mindful of what's around you and what you're using. And when you don't see it every day, obviously doesn't impact you as much, and so seeing it and driving past it, it's just kind of like ugh. And we're sort of pogged up, actually. I'm not sure if they're oil refineries, but pogged up next to two massive factories, so it's very prominent in our lives right now to see kind of the impact of whatever it is that they are working on over there. Aside from all the poopiness that we passed through in Texas, we made a pit stop in Austin. That was such a blast. It was my birthday, my 32nd birthday. Big thanks to everybody who sent me some love, and yeah, it was just a really fun day and simple, just nothing crazy, you know. As you get older, you sort of just realize that each year that goes by, you just want to be with the people that you love and enjoy the simple things in life. So we went to a stream and like a spring area and dipped our feet, kind of went swimming, had some barbecue lunch. I love barbecue sauce, so like put anything with barbecue sauce and I'm a happy girl. They had some delicious coleslaw and green beans. It was so good. We just hung out, like good weather. It was so nice to be out and kind of see the city that we had wanted to explore a little bit, so it was cool to see Austin. They've got a lot of good things going for them. Yeah, that was really fun. Justin, Vince and Zay, when we were parked up at the Walmart, snuck inside there and snagged me a couple of baby succulents. So I'm growing my plant family again, which is really exciting. So it's been cool to kind of work on my green thumb again and get my hands dirty and digging in soil and just working with plants and like caring for other things and it just feels really good. I'm really excited to get back to North Carolina and be settled for a little bit, to have some more plants at home, and it's just a good taste of what's to come, so very excited. So like I said, we're in Louisiana. We are going to be experiencing Mardi Gras for the last week that it's happening. I guess it happens for the whole month of February, and so we're here for that final week. If you guys watch our videos, you might be like, well, Mardi Gras happened like 3 weeks ago. Well, our videos are 3 weeks like ahead or behind. Just gives us enough time to upload and edit and publish and do all that so that we're not flustered each week. Yeah, so we're here for Mardi Gras. Justin is super excited. I'm really excited. Louisiana has been top on the list for a long time, so we're stoked to go and explore the town. A friend of ours from North Carolina, Brandon, who used to live on the farm, he's here in town, and so we're gonna explore and adventure together. I'm excited. There's not really much else to say because we haven't even been in town. We arrived at this spot last night super late. Vince has been driving the bus a bit, which has been really helpful and kind to have more teamwork of us adults, like, you know, putting in some hours for these legs, because we've been doing like 8-hour days and it's been a lot of driving. That brings us to where we are today. Wow, we have covered a lot of road time recently, and last week it was a bit of a struggle to just juggle and balance everything that was happening. I had someone post a question and it stuck with me about like whether or not YouTube is our full-time job, and it is now. Like, more on my plate, what I do is YouTube stuff for sure, and that requires a lot of forethought and doing in the moment, and then also afterthought. So like thinking about what kind of topics we're going to go over and film. So like sitting down and doing this tea time with you guys, I think about what I want to talk about, what I want to share, what I want to teach, what I want to open up about, I guess. So I kind of draft up a script, so that's all done ahead of time. But then there's all the filming and time that goes into actually using the camera and creating the footage, and then the after is organizing all the footage after you move it off the SD card and putting them all into folders. And then we have an editor, Tara, who's in Hawaii, and I upload all the footage onto Dropbox and send it to her, and then she edits it all, sends it back to me, and then I do any final touches and reorganizing of anything that might need just a little bit of tweaking. And so uploading the footage, I kid you not, I posted up outside the Walmart, which in the past has been like our like saving grace, but it was going to take 2 years to upload footage for one video that we were filming or putting together or working on editing or whatever. Man, it was like full on stressing me out and gets me really anxious because we have sponsors that we work with that we have to keep up with, that we want to make sure the videos are edited in time to send to them so that they can approve the segment and make sure that it's the way that they want. So it's been a real struggle trying to make sure I have enough internet time where I can sit and let my laptop do its thing. So when we were in Mexico, it was so awesome to have internet at the house and let things upload like overnight when no one was using internet, because it was a bit faster and it would just go. So we did get a hotel last week, I think. We all desperately needed showers. We all needed to get some solid work done. I really needed internet, and we stayed at just some whatever hotel. Cheap, trying to stay on budget because this trip has been incredibly expensive with gas and all that. I haven't been doing much yoga lately because it's been colder outside and we've been traveling so much, and so there's just all these things when you're on the go and you're moving. It's like whoever's not driving has to sort of hang out with Azalea and keep her occupied, and so it's not like you can make the most of that time in work. Yeah, so it's been really difficult lately, and I've been struggling a little bit, although that hotel internet time honestly saved me and any type of anxieties and stress that I had around work, so that was really helpful. I wanted to just share a couple of things that I've been doing to help me kind of stay a bit grounded, because this time of being so fast-paced and on the go, never having enough time in the day to get some work stuff done, has obviously made an impact on my, mental state. And for me, I find it really helpful to both do yoga, like I mentioned, which I haven't really been able to do, but breathing, which obviously we do no matter what we do. So that's been a really key thing that I've been doing each day, each week. I try and consciously breathe, and that's something that has really helped me to stay grounded. So I figured I'd share just a super basic breathing technique that if you've done breath work you might have heard, but it's the 4-7-8 breath. You basically inhale for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 7, and you exhale for a count of 8. Helps to really clear out your lungs and regulate a slower breath, which calms you down a bit, because sometimes we can hold our breath and that holds tension within us, and then sometimes we breathe too fast, and that's obviously also anxiety inducing and like fast pace, and just when your life is so crazy it encourages more fast pacedness, which is obviously not what you want. I figured I'd do that breath with you guys, so find a comfortable spot to sit down. I love sitting cross-legged, but you can sit obviously like with your legs in front of you and just keep your hands relaxed and just kind of find your comfort in this space, in this moment, and feel your breath as it is. For me right now, I feel my breath is very tight and restricted. It doesn't feel like I can breathe all the way down, and that's sometimes when I'm feeling really stressed out. I feel that I feel like my diaphragm and that whole breath and my lungs are not fully able to expand. So this is going to be really helpful to just kind of reroute myself into my breath. So I'm going to go so when you breathe in, you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last breath. Something within me, my mom used to call me agape. I used to take a lot of like blocking my ears and these deep breaths, like always wanting to yawn, you know, that like kind of really big sigh that makes you feel so relaxed and relief and all that. I like to, no matter my practice of breath, like whichever kind of technique I'm using, I like to just do one big breath at the end to kind of release it all into this moment. So I hope you found that helpful. I know that I don't always do that breath in particular, but it's a really great one that's easy to just do at any point within the day. And if you do it in the morning or in the afternoon, it'll just help you to really focus in on this moment and on your breath, and help you to kind of release any anxieties you might have and just find a sense of calm. Like if you're stressing, just breathe. Do your 4-7-8 breath and take a moment and be like, it's gonna be okay, the world is not gonna fall apart, nothing is gonna happen if you just take a moment to just breathe for a second. If anything, it'll help you find that clarity, the motivation, the focus. It'll help you to be more grounded and do things with intention and more consciousness. So that's what I've been doing to help myself kind of find a little bit more peace while we've been so busy on the go. So big shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. They're a really great all-in-one platform for building out any type of website that you might be interested in creating. It's so easy to set up an online store and sell anything. We've got our cookbook on there. Squarespace makes it really easy for you to post your blog, and then for your readers to engage with you and write comments or like your content. On top of all that, any of their websites automatically adjust. Looks great on any device. If you guys are ready to create your own website, then go to squarespace.com to start your free trial today. And when you're ready to launch, use our link in the description below and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. The other thing that has been crazy is, I guess we've been moving so much that there's people living in the bus and it's very crowded all the time between the four of us. Azalea causes havoc and mess is always around, and man, her chair was falling apart, the drawers are falling apart, we've got wood flying off, we've got nails going everywhere. This whole bus needs a whole bunch of love put back into it, and we're living in this like surrounding of everything that's just like slowly degrading. Everything's just like falling apart. And so we're trying to just look at the end goal and just be like, okay, we're not going to worry about fixing everything right now. We're eventually going to get to that place. Everything is going to get fixed. But for now, we're just gonna live in peace with everything falling apart around us. And that's been more reason that I've been feeling a lack of grounding and just feeling like my world around me is crumbling. Have you ever had that? Like just nothing is going right, or everything is falling apart, or like all of a sudden the washing machine isn't working and then the car doesn't start. Like yesterday, I guess Justin was working in the Jeep and he left the keys in the Jeep and the lights must have been on, so the Jeep battery was dead, but it was attached to the back of the bus, so we just towed it to where we were today. So when we arrived, we had to jump start the Jeep twice because the first time it didn't hold charge, then the second time it did hold charge, and then now the bus, man, today is like finally the first day of sun, but when you rely on solar and you have like maybe 3 days of cloud, oh buddy, so the bus was basically out of juice. So we had to jump start the bus so that we could have lights and our plugs could work and all this stuff using the Jeep. And our Jackery was completely dead, so right now it's outside charging. It's one of those times in life where it's like everything is just a disaster and falling apart, but you can only like laugh at it if you look at it that way. Otherwise you'll just break down and be, you know, overwhelmed and stressed out and exhausted about everything that's just not going the right way. That's what's been going on with us. So it's been really important for me to like find my grounding, you know? I haven't been doing much yoga lately, but I recently, in the last few days, have been doing yoga, and let me tell you what, feels really good. I've been wanting to like talk more about yoga with you guys and share more about my practice and all that, but I'm not very knowledgeable in like the language, the terminology, and also like the positioning. You know, recently when I was doing yoga in Tulum, I was going to a lot of classes, and when the teachers would reposition me or like move my hips or like shift my feet and my ankles, that was really, really helpful because it helps me better understand how my posture needed to be kind of readjusted. I haven't done a yoga teacher training, but as you will know, that's on my 3 to 5, more like 3-year goal plan. I think I'll probably end up doing it next winter. I want to be able to learn more so that I can have more of the accurate knowledge and terminology and vocabulary to kind of really dive into what I'm doing, I guess. But it's also been a really great experience because it's taught me to do yoga the way I like to do yoga and how I like to move, what feels good for my body, and what kind of flow I like to do. So lately, Azalea has always been keen to do yoga with me, but recently she's been really keen, and we have 2 yoga mats now that we're back in the bus, and so we've been doing yoga together. And that's been really fun. It's just a moment of play in a way that's like physical movement, teaching her to kind of do what she wants with her body and be crazy in that moment. Like if she wants to do flips or turns or stick her leg in the air, like now is a really good time to just do what your body is craving doing and energetically what you want to be feeling in your movement. So much of our day is stationary, sitting, working, or all we do is get up and walk, and then we sit down and then we lay down, and when we're cooking, we're kind of stationary as well, just in a standing position. And so it's nice to kind of move and get your body into these positions that you don't normally go to, that help to stretch and release any tension and create motion and twists and just all these different positions that you might not find yourself normally in a regular day. For my yoga practice, I'm sure many of you are like me. Maybe you're a parent, or maybe you're not motivated to do a longer session. In Tulum, my yoga classes were an hour and a half. Now that is crazy. I don't think I had ever really done yoga for an hour and a half in a class setting. Normally the ones in the US are just like 1 hour long, but I really enjoyed doing my yoga for that long, and it taught me that it is possible and that I could push my body to those limits. So that was a really cool experience for sure. But I thought I'd share some of my favorite positions, because my yoga sessions here at home are not always first thing in the morning as much as I'd like them to be, because my body feels too tired and it's painful to stretch sometimes so early, and I like to have more warmth in my blood flow and my muscles to be activated before I get into yoga and stretching immediately. So I prefer doing yoga later in the day, more in the afternoon or into the evening at night before I go to bed, especially if I've had like a very sedentary day. I can then end my day stretching my body out, and it really helps me to like get super relaxed, and then I sleep really well. A lot of the positions that I do are for stretching and what feels good for my body. And I love doing more active yoga sessions, but sometimes if I only have like a 15 to 20 minute session, the priority that I find my body always needs in a yoga session is just releasing any tension. So stretching and putting my body into positions that really feel good to me. And I think when I used to go to yoga class, I used to look around and be like, oh, I need to get into this deeper position. I need to do it the way they're doing it. I need to be as good as the teacher. And I always felt like kind of ashamed that I couldn't reach whatever, my toes all the way, or I couldn't put my hand all the way down, or that they could do it and I couldn't, or whatever. And over the years, I've really learned that that's just not what yoga is about. And when you go into a group setting to do yoga in a class, sometimes you can find yourself comparing yourself to other people. But what's important is that you're all like doing it together, and you're not there to compare yourself to other people. You're just there to challenge your bodies through the same positions and find like unity in the movements that you're doing, and push yourself as far as only you can go. And that's what's so important, is that you don't want to be like trying to do what they're doing. You want to be doing what you can do to the level that you can do it. One of the things that I've been like self-conscious about, like whenever I do yoga, is like I don't want to make people feel that they need to be able to achieve those goals of like, hey, put your hands on your toes. So like when people ask me to do yoga together, or to like kind of teach a class, I guess, like I don't want to make them feel like they need to be touching their toes. The language that I'd like to learn how to use more, that's more inclusive to the people that aren't actually able to touch their toes yet, is more along the lines of like reach for your toes, or like make a forward fold, and like not make them feel like the goal is not obtained by telling you what you need to do is touch your toes, and then you already feel like you're failing because you're not touching your toes. But what you need to be doing is more just reaching for your toes. Those are little things that I've felt like kind of self-conscious about, that I wanted to kind of learn more about how to express before I dive more into sharing and teaching, I guess, some of my yoga practices. I love doing yoga. I'm not a pro for sure. I don't do it consistently, but these are all goals that I would love to obtain. And when I do my yoga, for the 10, 15, 20 minute sessions that I can find throughout my day, I'm just grateful to find those moments of flow, those moments where I can go on the roof and do yoga and find rhythm and comfortability in my poses, and feel like my body just like crying with gratitude. It's just such a good feeling when you can really feel energetically just relaxed and at peace. And there's no wrong way to do yoga. It's like if it works for you in the positions that you're in, and if it's comfortable, then great. And if it's uncomfortable, then maybe adjust, unless it's the kind of uncomfortable that you know that you need to work through in order to kind of like advance your positions and your movements and your flexibility and your strength, all that. I made that time lapse so that you guys could really enjoy seeing what kind of poses I love to do. I generally always do those poses whenever I find myself in a flow. They're just some of my my favorite positions to kind of deepen my body's flexibility and kind of go into, and I enjoy doing yoga a lot, and I want to start sharing more about yoga with you guys, so I hope you enjoyed that little like session. Pause it, I guess, at any which point you're like, oh, that's an interesting pose, like let me check that out. I do a lot of poses that twist my spine. I sleep on my stomach, always with my head this way, and so I find myself really stiff in opposite directions whenever I'm in my day. I think it's really helpful to do a lot of twists and movements that push my body into the opposite direction and release any kind of like pockets of tension that I have. And it's just a really great activity, let's say, that I love to do to stay grounded and to find a moment of peace. And whether you're listening to like a podcast or an audible book or music or whatever, when I do it to music, I find myself kind of like dancing a bit more, like wanting to flow to the music, and so I find that really helpful. When we were in Tulum though, and I was doing my Ashtanga class, that was a very intense class. If you know what Ashtanga is, it's like very repetitive motions, very structured and rigid, but like not in a bad way, like rigid in a sense that you like go from pose to pose to pose to pose to pose, and there's not so much like free flowing kind of movement. It's very just like sequenced. I was sweating after every class, like 5 minutes into the class and I was sweating. And if you're not a fan of chaturanga, you might not enjoy that class so much, because you go into a chaturanga like after every pose. You do a pose, chaturanga. Yeah, that was badass. I feel like I grew stronger in taking a class that was challenging and difficult. I think I'm done rambling, you guys. I hope that this one was helpful for you, and I look forward to sharing more like yoga videos, and I also look forward to sharing more about why Justin maybe is less on the videos as of late. It's been a big shift that's happening behind the camera, and innately I love working with the camera and taking pictures and being creative, and he is more of a business guy, and beekeeping season is quickly approaching, and so he's going to be kind of stepping back into his beekeeping shoes, which is going to be good for all of us as well as what he wants to do, and I support him in all of that. I look forward to sharing more about what's been going on there. And the tea time thing, it's cool that so many of you come from like the tier 3 that I used to do for Moonflower Child. I've really been enjoying sitting down with you guys and having these chats, and appreciate all the support and love. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's tea time. Go do some yoga, go have some tea, even if it's a stretch like up against the wall, or just, you know, whatever. Do a little bit of movement to make you feel great, because it doesn't have to be an intense 1 hour yoga session where you're doing handstands and forearm stands and all these inversions and bridges and all these super advanced poses. Like, if you don't have the skill, cool, do what feels good for you. And I promise you, just taking a moment to breathe, taking a moment to move your body and stretch and connect with your physical being will help to ground you, give you peace, calm you, bring you more value in your day. And that's all I gotta say about that. Cheers and happy tea time. See you guys next week. Let me see another move.
Thank you.
Nice. Wow.
It's so difficult.
It's not. You got this. Nice. You're a good yogi.
Yeah.